Hi everybody, welcome to the 2017 Our Promise Key Connector Training. I'm Tabitha Angel, I'm the Director of Our Promise. We also have Ashley Poritz, who is our Development Manager. She's also will be a main point of contact for the Our Promise campaign. So her information and contact information will be at the end of this presentation. But I will be out for a couple of months, so this is just, she's another point of contact for you. So a few things that we're going to go over today is what is Our Promise? What is it all about? What does it mean? What is the Our Promise logo? That it's not just a pretty box and a blue and yellow box. What is United Way's role in Our Promise? A lot of people think it's the United Way campaign, and it's not. A look back at what we have achieved over the years and goals moving forward. Facilitating Our Promise. What are the state employees' benefits? Why payroll deduction? There is an overhead, and what does that overhead mean? You will get a lot of questions regarding that, and how to get involved. And most importantly, what are your roles, responsibilities, and best practices? And completing the pledge form, we will get into that as well, which is another separate training, and we will go over those details at another time. So what is Our Promise? Well, it's been around since 1957. It was lawfully established. So we are celebrating our 60th year anniversary. It's in Government Code 14659, and it's giving every state employee the opportunity to donate to their chosen nonprofit through payroll deduction. There are three main key players for the Our Promise campaign. There's the Department of General Services. They are the governing board for Our Promise. They contract with us, United Way California Capital Region. We are the main lead United Way that actually facilitates the Our Promise statewide campaign. And then the lead United Way, us, UWCCR, we subcontract with all of the other United Ways throughout the state. There's about 28 to help run the campaign statewide with all of those regional offices going all the way up to the Oregon border down to San Diego. And then of course the third main key player is the State Controller's Office. They are a huge key player in the fact that they are actually deducting contributions from your pay warrants. And then we, United Way California Capital Region, we are the ones that pay out the donations quarterly to the designated profits. So they take the money out, give us the money, and we pay out all of those thousands and thousands of donations every month or on a quarterly basis to those nonprofits. What is the Our Promise logo? For those of you maybe who have been in the state for a really long time, we've kind of gone by a couple of names. Formerly we were known as CSEC, and a lot of people still refer to us as CSEC. Some people refer to us as the United Way campaign because we have always been facilitated by United Way. We rebranded a couple years ago, and we are now called the Our Promise campaign. So everything is in reference to Our Promise. It's still the California State Employees Giving at Work campaign. It will always be known as that. But we really wanted to speak to, what is the campaign all about? And we really felt Our Promise was a strong way to go. So the blue square, part of our logo, it actually represents the community as a whole. And the missing corner up there in that top left is a part of the community that we're trying to fill that need. So, and that's where you come into play as the state employees, filling that need in that community. And then of course you see the sun rays and the sun element representing the energy and sunshine of California employees. And then there's an actual C that's cut out around the O. And that actually represents for the state of California. So it's got a tricky little C in there, so it represents that. And of course, blue and gold, always been a big color palette for us as Californians. So it represents the vibrant energy of California state employees. United Way's role in Our Promise. You as Key Connectors will get lots of questions about what does United Way do? How does United Way play a role in this campaign? Is all the money going to United Way? So this is an important factor to know. So even though United Way is a nonprofit that people can give back to. They actually, they're only just a small part in that they are the ones getting donations, but we're just the ones facilitating. I like to say we are the middleman between the state of California and the employees. So they actually facilitate the department campaigns. They distribute money to all of the designated nonprofits and organizations. They provide ongoing donor and volunteer support. So if you ever have a donor or an employee who has a question about their current donation, or they just have further questions that you may not be able to answer, of course, we are the ones to contact. And we will have information not only on our website, but in our materials with our donor hotline that anybody can call at any point during any time. A lot of people think that they have to call the state controller's office because that's who's actually deducting their funds. But really, United Way is the middleman, the one that's processing everything, collecting those pledge forms, playing them out. So they are really the fiscal agent and the middle arm. So they definitely play a huge role, but we are very separate from our campaign efforts as United Way. We just are contracted by the state. And keeping our promise social. We live in the day and age of social media where it plays a huge role, and most people are finding out things first via social media, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, many outlets of social media. So we do have a Facebook page. It's a great way to see what's going on with the campaign. Maybe your department is being featured on there. We'd love to share your stories with your employees, your events via social media. So please send us stuff so we can share it. We also have an Instagram handle, which is Our Promise CA, and that also is the same for our Twitter account as well. So feel free to tag us in any of those. Also we use the hashtag Our Promise CA as well on all social media posts. We'd love to see what you're doing with your departments, and whether that's down south, up north, maybe here at headquarters. So please feel free to tag us, and we'd love to see what you're doing. So talking about some numbers, what did Our Promise do and raise during the 2016 campaign, which was last year? We raised about $6.2 million statewide. Lots of money. It's a huge effort. When it wouldn't have been done without the help of you, Key Connectors, and all of the state employees. It was about down $78,000 or so from the year prior. And the participation rate stayed about the same, which was about 11% statewide. Now, depending on your department or your agency, it will be really helpful for you to look up your results and see individually what you have done as a department or an agency and see what your individual results are. We do have those available on our website at www.ourpromiseca.org. So that's always a great resource. And if you can't find it on there, or you're just having a hard time, please feel free to reach out to us or your campaign liaison or loan executive. They are happy to help you get those stats, or your department chair. So looking at next year, this following year, what do we want to achieve as statewide? Well, of course, our main goal is 100% ask. We want to make sure that every employee is given the opportunity to give back. And that means asking every single employee if they would like to participate. Of course, you're going to have people who say no and who say no thank you, and that's okay, but at least we want to make sure that everybody is given the opportunity, and at least they know about it and are educated to give back to where they work and where they live. We want to increase that participation from 11% statewide to 15% statewide. That's about 4%. That's really not that much if you look at all of almost 300,000 state employees. If we just got just a few more employees within each department to give back and to participate in this amazing campaign, we really think we can achieve that at that 15%. Also, we'd like to raise from $6.2 million to $6.4 million. And of course, if we increase that participation, we're going to hopefully increase those dollar amounts. So these are just our statewide goals. Of course, you will have your individual department goals, so you will want to work closely with your department campaign chair on what is your individual department, division, or agency goal. Each of you will have your own goals, but the most important is having fun. This is really a great campaign, and it's a great way to give back It's a great way to get to know your fellow employees. What are they passionate about? Maybe you'll find an employee right next to you is really passionate about horses and they actually work with a horse nonprofit. Or maybe you have another, coworker who's really passionate about the homeless and they give back to a nonprofit that helps the homeless. So this is another layer to really get involved with your employees and get to know them maybe on more of a personal level. And it's really interesting to see that how everybody has their different passions and how everybody helps just a little bit to give back to their community. So we have some key campaign dates that are coming up for 2017. August 30th, it's on a Wednesday. So here in the Capital region, we have our huge statewide kickoff, and it happens on the north steps of the Capitol from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We invite all of you to come out. We would encourage just not the key connectors, but all the employees from all the different departments and agencies to definitely come and check it out. It's a great opportunity to visit many nonprofits. We open about 150 spots for nonprofits to come and attend and join that, and we have people knocking on our door just to fill those spots up, because it's a great opportunity to get in front of donors, volunteers, and be able to market themselves and be able to educate people about these different nonprofits. And maybe you might find a nonprofit you're passionate about that you never even knew existed by going to that kickoff. So it's a great opportunity. Please come out and see us. And then the campaign, when does it begin? Well, statewide it begins September 1st. So September 1st, statewide, the campaign has opened up for any department and any agency. And then it ends October 31st. And the reason for that is we actually have to have a cutoff date, because we need to be able to submit everything to the state controller's office in time to make sure that those deductions start January 1st. Now, depending on your department or your division, you may run your campaign during those different times. You may run it just the month of September, or maybe you just run it the month of October. It's really up to your department, when you would like to run it. Some, figure some months are better than others and some weeks are better than others. So really work with your department campaign chair to figure out when you're going to run your campaign, and then you'll be able to hit certain dates and know certain important dates. So why give through Our Promise? What's the benefit? You'll have a lot of employees ask and say, I already give directly to my nonprofit. I don't feel like signing up. Doesn't do me any good. So what's the benefit? Well, it binds all of the state workers to one common cause, regardless of what department you're in, what rank, and what location. This is a statewide effort that's open to all state employees and really is a positive benefit. I know that sometimes it's a little tricky that state workers, don't do this or maybe don't do that, but this is a great cause that you guys raised $6.2 million statewide. That's a lot of money that people are really passionate about giving back to their nonprofits, and this is just one of the amazing things that they can do. And they can donate to any recognized 501c3 with a current or non-exempt status by the Department of Justice. So there's not a certain list you have to pick from to give back to. Of course, the Our Promise campaign certifies about 2,400 nonprofits under our umbrella that we go through a certification process every year. But you don't have to give to just those. You can really give back to any 501c3 as long as they have a current status and they have a tax ID number. There is a fill-in portion on the pledge form that they can just fill out that nonprofit's information, name, address, all of that. So really, as long as they have those certain things, the tax ID, etc., you can give back. One of the best parts about it, it's not a lot of money. It's only $5 minimum to participate through payroll deduction. That's it. Think of what you do with $5 in a day, every day. Some of you may go get your coffee. Some of you may spend part of that on your lunch. So this is really easy. It comes right out of your pay warrant. It's very simple. So that's $5 per nonprofit. You can give back to multiple nonprofits of your choice. So you don't have to just pick one. Maybe you're passionate about 5 different nonprofits. You can definitely do a $5 minimum for each of those nonprofits and give back. And then of course, one of the fun parts about this campaign, since there's so many different state departments and agencies, is it allows for some friendly competition among the agencies. So in your department, you may have many divisions. And so maybe it's fun to compete with a division that's right next to you in the same building as you. So it's really fun to see maybe who can raise more money at a special event. We have a lot of departments and agencies who really compete against one another, and it really does benefit the campaign. And we find that more departments are successful by having a little of friendly competition. It also provides the ease of giving a one-time donation. You can give a one-time cash or check donation. So why the campaign runs, maybe you are not comfortable with giving it back through payroll deduction and you don't really want it coming out of your pay warrant. So you would rather just give cash or cut a check. We're happy to take care of that as well, and we still can designate to any nonprofit of your choice with a one-time donation. You would just fill out the pledge form, make sure that you're putting in who you want to designate it to, and the checks are always cut to Our Promise so that we can go ahead and make sure that those designations are going to the correct nonprofits. And a lot of people always ask, well, I can just give it directly to my nonprofit, but what most people don't realize is that actually the dollars to nonprofits go further with donations that are made monthly instead of a one-time. So a lot of people will, throughout the year, usually, but cut their checks at the end of the year. Kind of right before the end of the year in December, people cut one large check to their nonprofit because that's what they've done for years and trying to get that money over to them. Well, when the nonprofits receive the deductions from us on a quarterly basis, they're able to figure out how much they're going to use for their programs throughout the entire year. They're not having to wait for that large chunk at the end of the year, that large check that they receive and counting, is that donor going to give us that large check again in December? They know that every quarter they are going to get a certain amount of money paid out by us through the Our Promise campaign. So it's really a great benefit for the nonprofits as well. And as probably many of you know, almost half of state employees are eligible to retire. So there are a lot of retirees in the state of California. And what most people don't know is that they can still continue to give through their CalPERS paycheck that they will receive through their retirement. So a lot of retirees sometimes think that, it can automatically rolls over from when the SCO to CalPERS, but it doesn't. They have to sign up if they still want to continue to give through CalPERS, but it's a great opportunity for them. So that's something you as a Key Connector definitely want to be aware of when you're passing out the pledge form. If you know that employee is getting ready to retire, you want to talk to them about that and give them that option and show them the box of where to check for that. So why payroll deduction? So I went over a little bit about this in this past slide, but one time versus payroll, you've got money being spread out through the entire year. It's convenient. It's automatically withdrawn out of your pay warrant every month. Most people we get don't even realize it's still happening and they have to call us to change it. It's so convenient. It eliminates to write checks. Not many people carry their checkbooks around anymore. And it eliminates multiple checks for nonprofits. So nonprofits aren't having to process so many different checks that come in at the end of the year. They process one large check from us. Everything gets paid out. They get the detail if the donor provides the detail. We're able to tell them, oh, this is who your donor is. So they still receive all of that information. And then it also deducts in little amounts that fit into most people's budget. I know that when I have to make a very large payment on something, I'd much rather break that up into smaller amounts if I can than just paying it all in one large sum. So it's a great opportunity for people who maybe want to make a really big impact, but they much would rather have it broken up by each month. It also provides a consistent cash flow to them of your choice, so you can do it to multiple nonprofits. Like I said, you're able to just have one chunk, and then that can be designated to multiple nonprofits. And of course, one of the best benefits is it's tax deductible. So Our Promise overhead. So one of the major questions we get is there an overhead cost? Are there fees? Well, yes. Unfortunately, there is. But With any organization or any program, including all nonprofits, there is some kind of overhead. In order to make the program run and to function, they have to be able to have some kind of fee and they incur some kind of cost. So we go ahead and break it down. We're very transparent about it. We don't hide our fees. We don't hide our overhead. It is a 14% overhead. There's an additional 41 cent per transaction fee that is set by the state controller's office, which they take as they process each pay warrant deduction. So that is set separately by the SCO. Then the Our Promise campaign has an overhead of 14%. Well, people say, well, what does that cover? Is just United Way taking that? No. We are reimbursing the Department of General Services. They get a fee. We reimburse the state controller's office. And then it also covers all of the campaign costs. So we provide all of the materials and we do all of the processing for the Our Promise campaign. So there's the donor resource guide, which most of you will have, and that we pass out to all of state employees. There's the pledge form processing, printing and processing of it. We process over probably 40,000 pledge forms every year. And then there's the posters, there's the training materials, for example, what I'm going over today. And of course we have our Promise website. So the maintenance of that and keeping that up to date, and the year-round support that we provide for all of our donors and volunteers. And then most people don't realize that we are the ones who actually certify nonprofits, which is a very lengthy and detailed process. So to make sure that all 2,400 nonprofits are certified is actually quite a large process that we work with the Attorney General's office to make sure that no one is delinquent, that people are valid. And so we're really, validating that for our donors and our volunteers to make sure that these nonprofits are truly certified. Well, where do undesignated funds go? So if you say you donate $10, $5 of it you want to go to the American Cancer Society, but you don't designate those other $5, a lot of people say, well, where did that other $5 go? I forgot to write in my nonprofit. Well, those undesignated portions of a donor's gift will be invested back into the local programs of whatever local United Way that you are associated with where you work. So, and United Way is a great nonprofit. They do a lot of great programs, so it automatically will go to them if you do not designate those funds. It goes to them. So make sure that either they want to know exactly who they want to designate to, or it will automatically go to the United Way. Well, how can you get your different employees to get involved? There's multiple ways to be involved in the Our Promise campaign. One of the biggest is, of course, giving your time, which you as Key Connectors already are, donating your time to be a part of this campaign, which we truly, truly value. If you can't maybe give your time, maybe give your talent, maybe you're really involved with a nonprofit and you're a great speaker, a public speaker, and you can come and give a presentation about your nonprofit. Or maybe you have time to volunteer on the weekend to get involved with the nonprofit. Or your treasure. So financial donation is great as well. So there's many ways. We do definitely talk about payroll deduction and giving back through money, but all of those other items are just as important. Time, I like to say, is so valuable nowadays. Not a lot of us have a lot of time. So for me, I don't have a lot of time necessarily. I have a 3-year-old at home. I have another one on the way. There's a lot going on. So for me, it's a little easier for me to financially give back than necessarily give up my time. So just, when talking to people, what are their options? Definitely talk about all 3 of those areas. And Our Promise, more than anything, is an educational campaign. We really want people to be educated about them. We want these state employees to be educated in giving back. What is Our Promise about? We want to make sure that they are informed of all of their options. We want to show them how to donate if they choose to participate. So we want to make sure that, we are taking the time to go over the pledge form with them, go over the materials with them so they really can understand. Because I'm sure you've heard in the past, most people think it's just a piece of paper that comes around once a year and they always see it, but really there's a lot more to it. And you really want to highlight the importance and the value of the nonprofits. That's who's really benefiting more than us, more than the employee, is really the nonprofits. The importance of why you're giving back. Is it for where you work or where you live? Is it for a certain cause? So you want to demonstrate all those benefits and make sure that they know how the nonprofits benefit on the other end. And then of course, our big goal for Our Promise is 100% informed ask. You as Key Connectors are, we like to say, the bread and butter of our campaign. You are the ones physically out in front of those employees. You're the ones making the ask. You're the ones passing the pledge forms. You're the ones getting denied and rejected probably. So it's really important that you understand the background of the campaign and that you are asking every employee that you are designated to asking, to making sure that they are at least given the opportunity. We're not forcing anyone, we're not intimidating anyone. If people choose to say no, that's okay. At least we've been able to give them the opportunity and we've been able to ask. So here are your roles and your responsibilities. You probably have one of the largest roles and responsibilities, like I have mentioned, because you are the face. You are the ones that they see. So of course, we have a 2017 confidentiality agreement form that we require all Key Connectors to sign. And that is because you're really dealing with personal information. You're dealing with people's social security numbers. You're collecting pledge forms that have people's names on them. So that is part of our agreement, and being a Key Connector is that you sign that agreement form and turn that back into your department chair, and those will be passed out during training. And then you work closely with your DCC to achieve objectives in the campaign plan. So making sure that you're, really looking at those goals. What are your goals going to be? How can you achieve those individually as a Key Connector and help those department campaign chairs? And of course, attend the Promise kickoff if you're able to, and on that August 30th at the state capitol. And then make an informed and educated ask of every employee assigned to you. And remember that 100% ask. If they're not there at their desk, don't just drop the pledge form off. Maybe try to make an attempt maybe later in the day or maybe later in the week, and really try to see if that you can come back and personally ask them and talk to them about the campaign. And of course, answer questions and refer to, frequently asked questions for help. You will receive a lot of questions, like I said, and we are your resource and we are your help. So if you can't answer it, just let the employee know, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that right now, but I will get back to you. And make sure that you're either following up with your department campaign chair, you're looking maybe on our website for some frequently asked questions, or you reach out to us, the Our Promise team, to help you answer those questions. And you're able to get back to that employee in an efficient time to give them the answers that they need. Of course, you want to assist the DCC maybe in conducting some campaign presentations. So if you're able to, maybe your division has a staff meeting every month or maybe every week. It's really a great opportunity if you can get just 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to give a quick Our Promise presentation. Maybe that's a way to get all of your staff together and you're able to communicate what's going on with the Our Promise campaign. So definitely work with your DCC to see how you can help present and give certain presentations. Of course, one of the biggest roles and responsibilities is to distribute and collect the pledge forms. So making sure that you're hitting that timeline and that you're getting them distributed out in a efficient amount of time and that they're getting collected back. And then you want to provide, we have our Promise confidential envelope. So most of you might have seen this last year. It's an Our Promise confidential envelope that we provide that people are able to fold up their pledge form and put inside an envelope and turn their pledge form back in. We will go later over that in our pledge form auditing process and completing the pledge form. But this is just making sure that people have the opportunity to go ahead and seal that pledge form in an envelope and turn it in. So some people aren't comfortable with just turning in a pledge form and having it out there in the open. At least they can have that to give back and to turn in. And of course, you want to make sure that you're locking and securing all of the collected pledge forms in a department, identified location that's locked and secured. So work with your DCC on where are those pledge forms going to live and where they're going to be locked up. There's very secure and confidential information. We take great pride in making sure that all of that confidential information does not get distributed and that it is locked and secured. So work with your team to make sure that you will have one place where those get locked up if you don't have access to lock them up. And then conduct a strong educational campaign. So, make an informed ask, make an educated ask. Make sure you have all your facts, maybe before you start going out and talking to everyone. And think of what can happen to the countless nonprofits if you don't ask. I say, what's the worst thing that can happen? They say no. That's the worst that can happen. Or someone says, no thanks, I'm not interested, it's not my thing. That's okay. But you may find a couple employees that say yes, and they were never asked before. So just think about that when you're going around asking all the different employees, and believe in our promise. I like to say, if you don't believe in the cause and you don't believe in what you're talking about, no one else will believe you. I like to say, don't have key connectors that are grumpy or don't have a smile on their face. People don't want to talk to people like that. People would much rather hear an educated, passionate person who's passionate about the campaign. So please, figure out what you're passionate about first and then really be able to present that to the employees. And one of the biggest things that you can do is bring nonprofits in. We work with over 150, 200 nonprofits here locally, but of course there are nonprofits all throughout the state of California. So work with your local United Way or with your department campaign chair to see maybe you can bring a nonprofit in to give a presentation. We find that those happen to be the most impactful presentations that we give are the nonprofits that we bring in. People really get to learn about the nonprofit, how's the nonprofit benefiting from this campaign. So if you do have that opportunity, definitely try to bring a nonprofit in. And don't take rejection personally. They're not necessarily saying no to you, they just may be saying no to the campaign for whatever reason they may be. And those are personal reasons. Like I said, we don't need to get into that. We don't need to ask why. That's their own personal reason. We just want to make sure that they were given the opportunity to give if they wanted to. And of course, make it personal. If you have a story to tell, and if you are strongly connected to a nonprofit, tell your story. Your story can go a lot further than you may ever imagine. So, and people are more likely to give back and want to give if they hear your story. And why is it important to you? And why do you give back? So definitely communicate that as you are passing out pledge forms. And communicate with your team, your campaign team. That's a big part of this campaign is communicating throughout the campaign, communicating with your DCC, communicating with the other key connectors. Maybe you're running into a couple little things and you need some help or suggestions. You can definitely work with your other key connectors. You are not alone. You are not the only key connector. So definitely work with them as well. So most people say, well, how do I even give a sample presentation? I don't even know how to get up there and give a presentation. What do I do? These are just some key points that we wanted to go ahead and help you with, but definitely have your DCC, come with you if you can, and give a welcome and introduction by your DCC and yourself, kind of telling your role and who you are and that you will be the main point of contacts. And then also if you've got executive management or a manager who really supports the campaign, you want to maybe be able to bring them in, say a couple words, or if you know that they have some remarks, you can go ahead and share those remarks. Definitely give an overview and highlights of the Our Promise campaign, and definitely bring in a guest speaker from a nonprofit, which we can help with. You don't have to reach out to them. We can do that for you. We can set up the nonprofit for you. That's easy for us to do. And then of course, give the employees ways to participate. We do have an Our Promise video on our website that kind of overviews from our chairs and our vice chairs, and we have a couple of employees. You can show that. And of course, say thank you. So no matter what, you want to give the opportunity and tell everyone, say thank you. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for taking your time today just to listen to the couple minutes that you may be able to give during that presentation. So I wanted to kind of give you some common objections and responses, since this happens to you guys as key connectors more than anyone. So a lot of people say, well, I'm really unsure about providing my social security number to a key connector. It's a big deal. It's a very, very large piece and confidential piece of information that people are not willing to share. But unfortunately, it happens to be one of our biggest key players on our pledge form, because it's the only way that the state controller's office can connect your pay warrant with your deduction is your SSN. That is your unique identifier. But do let people know that there is an Our Promise confidentiality agreement that you have signed, that you take great pride in, and that you're not sharing any of this information. Your department is taking great measures to secure the pledge forms, that they're being locked up, they're not just floating around. And that the donors can use the confidential pledge form envelope, so they can use that envelope to go ahead and seal their pledge form and turn it in that way. And then of course there's the Security Standards Council, and we are compliant with that. And then definitely you can tell them there's been proven history and accountability of always of the Our Promise campaign. We've never had information leak out. We don't share information. We don't share donor information unless people say, hey, yeah, I want my nonprofit to know that I am the active donor. Another common objection and response is, well, I have my own nonprofits I support, so why should I give through Our Promise? We definitely have reviewed this, but making sure that they know that this is an easy way to give back, that it provides the nonprofits with a consistent cash flow. So all of those things that we talked about, earlier are some great benefits and some great responses to this common objection that we have. Another one is, I can't afford to give much more than $5 a month. Does that really make a difference? Well, every gift is important no matter what size. When a donor's gift is combined with the donations of many others, which that's 11% of state employees, it really adds up and makes a huge contribution to these nonprofits. So that little bit of money, whether that's $5, that's $6, it goes a really long way for them and really gives them, an opportunity to provide more programs in the community where you work and where you live. So the Our Promise website is a great resource and a great tool for you. It is www.ourpromiseca.org. I'm happy to say that we are actually launching a brand new website this year, and that will be the week of August 14th. So please check us out. We currently have our website up right now. It'll still say the same address, but we really have worked hard to really clean it up and make it donor friendly and user friendly so that people can easily use it for multiple things. But for you as a campaigner and as a key connector, we want to make sure it's a great resource for you. So you've got all of your Our Promise results from years past, dating back I think even to 2010. So you can definitely look to see what your department has done over the years. We provide logos and guidelines. We provide training manuals, so such as this training will be on there as well. We provide templates and tools, so say you want a memo to go out to your department or your division, and you don't kind of know where to start. Well, we have that template to help you to be able to send that. And then blank pledge forms. So for some reason, if you don't get a printed pledge form, or one of your employees says, I haven't received my pledge form yet, I don't know what happened to it. Of course, there are blank pledge forms available online. You can't necessarily fill it out online and turn it in online because we are not online yet. But they can go, they can fill, it's a fillable pledge form, they can print it and then turn it in that way. And then of course, the PCFDs, which are the local United Way's contact information we provide on there. So you're able to, maybe you're a key connector, but you have an office that's down in Southern California that needs to be able to turn their pledge forms in. Well, how does that United Way get a hold of them? That United Way should have already contacted them, but if they have questions, you're able to go look up United Way's information in their area on our website. And then of course we have our donor hotline information. So you can ask all kinds of questions. So they can call that donor hotline and ask about their current donation. They can ask about fees. They can ask about payouts. How are the nonprofits getting paid out? Maybe they have a question about, we do tax letters every year for people. So we provide a lot of support through that donor hotline. And of course, at this time, if you have any questions or answers, we are here as a resource, so please let us know. You can contact Ashley or myself or your department campaign chair. You'll also have an account manager who we call a campaign liaison or a loan executive. There's multiple ways to describe them, but it's usually someone who's in direct contact with your department. They help us during the year, so the State Department loans them out. We're really lucky that we receive different campaign executives from multiple departments, but they usually are the ones working directly with your department to provide resources and answer any questions and answers throughout the campaign season. And of course, our contact information. So here's our website again, and then we have our donor hotline. It's toll free. It's 1-888-863-6466. So you can call that anytime, Monday through Friday. I would say 8 to 4:45 or so. We're usually in the office. And then of course, our Promise staff, which will be Ashley Ports, our development manager, have all of her contact information on here for you. So you have her office line, her cell phone, and her email. All those ways are a great way to get a hold of her. She usually is out and about with all the different departments and state agencies, so I would say cell phone or email is the best way to get a hold of her. And thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for your time. Thanks for listening to me. And we hope you have a great and successful campaign.